Sir.
Sir.
Sir, shall we start, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can continue, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah, very good afternoon to all the participants. So let me share my screen. So today in this session, I will basically be explaining about a case study, okay, of where or how to create a project using the Django and Python. Okay, so it's basically a machine learning example. So I'll just explain the theory first and then show you how to run it. So the code and the required softwares for that I have uploaded in the chat box. So everybody can download from the chat box. Okay. So a file I have uploaded, a zip file. So all the codes that are required and all the software, if at all, if you don't have Python or any other software, you can download it. Okay. And also you require, right, we require for this project, okay, we require natural language toolkit, NLTK. So this NLTK is required for us to run the code. Okay, so we are using this project. That is basically this project is to classify whether the news is a fake news or a real news based on the natural language processing, NLP. Okay. So there are so many projects on this kind of concept, but here we will be using NLP, RNN, LSTM to classify it. Okay, so I'll present the project first. Okay, but before that, because it will take time, NLTK installation. So for those who wants to, it's not actually a software; it's just a framework in Python. Okay, a library in Python that is required to process the commands of natural language. Okay, NLTK, natural language toolkit. Okay, So yeah. Okay, so what I would suggest you is just so I in the folder shared I have given the details also. Okay, so what I would recommend you is to install the NLTK through command prompt. Okay, so you can go to command prompt or just download this folder. Okay, which has the code. So under that there is a folder called as fake news. I'll just show you. So this is what I have shared with you. So classifying fake news articles using natural language. So this is the folder I have shared with you. You just download that folder. Okay. So under requirements, I'll share this also. So all these will be there. Okay. Only thing that will be missing is this NLTK. Okay. So you require this NLTK. So what for this you have to use this command. Okay. So these are the three commands that you need to type in the command prompt. Okay, and when you say NLTK download, it will download. It will take certain time. Okay, so it will take 10 to 15 minutes. So that's the reason why I'm suggesting you to download it now, because later on when we go after theory, right, we will go to execution where you can directly work with it. Okay, so this is what you have to install, right? So this library has to be these three commands. I'll share this requirements file alone. Okay, I think I've shared everything right in the command. So just a second. Right, so requirements.txt. So you can take this, download this folder, and use these three commands. Okay, pip install --user -u NLTK, then type in Python, then import NLTK, then NLTK.download. Okay, so this will download the natural language toolkit. Okay, so this is what we require. Okay, yeah, so let me go ahead and it is there in the chat box. Okay, it is there in the chat box, you can check. Okay, you can check, it is there in the chat box. Requirements file, for those who have joined late, I'll re-upload the this zip file again. Okay, yeah, I have uploaded the zip file again. Yes, yeah, I have shared it again. Right, I've shared both requirements and these things. Okay. Yeah, you can check the chat box. I have shared it, right? So that is the actual project that we are going to work execute today. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let me first give the theory.
Rahir sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing is being shown in the chat box, sir, like whatever you have shared.
There is nothing shared.
Yeah.
It's showing me that I have shared, madam. Me to everyone file. It is there. Yeah, it is there, madam. You can verify. Under files category, it will
there,
be
sir.
Okay,
yeah.
just a minute, sir. Let me check. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah, let me go ahead. Okay. So first, let me discuss the theory. Okay. So this is what the case study that I would wanted to present for you today. So classifying fake news articles using natural language processing to identify in article attribution as a supervised learning estimator. Okay, so this is the case study that we are taking, right? So basically, okay, the main objective of this case study is, yeah, again some issue. So let's check, not visible. Okay, are you talking about the file, sir? I think I've shared it in the things. Later on, I think I'll post it in the group also, but I don't have permission to do that. So somebody who has the permission can do it, can share it. Okay, and I think the slides are visible. Yeah, files, I have shared it in the chat box, sir. You can check under the files category. Yes. Okay. So this is what basically our slides are visible. Yeah, yes, madam. Thank you. Okay, so basically the main objective of this project is, or this case study is, you take a news article, right? You take a written article, right? So this article will have some news in it. Okay, now we will take the information from this article using the natural language processing, that is using the text processing, okay, to be precise, and using certain features, okay, or using some of these text attributes, we would want to classify whether the news presented in the article is real or fake. Okay, so that's it. Simple thing that we want to do. We want to show whether this whether the news that is presented in the article is real or fake. Okay, so how do you do that? There are so many ways over the years. There are so many ways of doing this classification. So here, one of the best method that is possible is the natural language processing, NLP. So NLP is used to do this. Okay, so what we do here is we will we will be extracting the quotes, verbs, and the name entity recognition, right? And the name entity, such as the organizations and the persons in the document, will be taken. Okay, the article will be taken, and from these things will compute the score. Okay, the verb score, right? The quotes, right? The name entity scores, right? Such as called will be calculated. So how do you calculate the score? The score between the sum of the verbs, sum of name entity, and sum of quotes. These are the techniques. These are the various techniques in NLP, right? So these will be taken, okay, and they will be divided by the total sentence length. Okay, so that means how many number of name entities are there, how many number of quotes are there, how many number of verbs are there. Okay, so based on this, right, based on this we calculate, okay, we calculate the scores for each of these attributes. Okay, then divided by the total sentence length. Okay, and see, right, and see whether the written article is correct or not, fake or not. Okay, so how do you check that? If the score is greater than 0, then the news will be considered as real, and if it is less than 0, it will be considered as fake. Okay, so that's the simple thing that we are going to do. But we have to extract, okay, we have to extract, okay, the required information. So that is, we need to calculate the number of verbs, the number of name entities, and the number of quotes, etc., from the plain text. Okay, so that is a big job that we are going to do it. Okay. Yeah, score will be calculated. I'll tell you how that is calculated. It will be shown. I'll tell you later. Okay. You can simply understand the score as the sum of the verbs divided by the total sentence length. That's it. That's how you can calculate it. Okay. Yeah. That is one way of calculating. There are so many ways of. It depends upon what kind of network we are using and all the parameters. Yeah. So based on this, we will have two values. either it is greater than 0 or either it is less than 0. Okay, so based on that we take the information, right? Yeah. So what are the modules that are required in doing this project? So we have, okay, so in order, because this is a deep learning model, so we'll use the TensorFlow. Okay, so TensorFlow, which is required for doing the deep learning. Okay, so it is a framework or it is a library that is used. So TensorFlow has been the 2.0 has been developed by the Google. Okay, so it has all the built-in functions to handle the deep learning, right, concept, okay, or the neural network concept, right? Then we have NumPy. NumPy is not exclusively used, but it is inbuilt, but it is inherent in all the higher computational or mathematical libraries. Okay, so numerical Python is a general array processing package in the Python framework. So it is required for performing all kind of array operations. Okay, and it is a basic inherent library for all of the higher libraries such as Pandas, sklearn, or TensorFlow, or Matplotlib, SciPy, etc., etc. All of them use NumPy. Okay, so this is another library that which we use here. Then we have Pandas. Okay, Pandas stands for Python data structure or data frame for data analysis. Okay, so these are the data frames that is supported for data manipulation and data analysis. So one of the most important application or most important operation as far as machine learning is concerned is about data engineering or feature engineering, what you can call. So all the data related operations will be handled with the help of Pandas. Okay, so there are several methods or several functions in Pandas that support different operations on the data frames or data files, reading CSV files, reading Excel files, creating tables. Right, you can create. We can also create our own data sets. Right, all those operations can be done with the help of Pandas. Okay, so that is another important library. Then we have Matplotlib. Matplotlib is basically a Python equivalent of MATLAB. Okay, so you can there's a PyPlot. Okay, PyPlot module which provides MATLAB like interface. So we can do the 2D plotting, two-dimensional plotting, such as box plots, right? Okay, we can do the sample plots, bar charts, etc., etc. All these things are done with the help of Matplotlib, right? And it works. It is used for creating all the graphical visualization of the data or commands. Okay, right. Then the most important library that we have is the scikit-learn. So sklearn, it's also called as sklearn or scikit-learn. So this scikit-learn is a machine learning library. Okay, it is a framework that supports the machine learning operations, right? All the inbuilt functions, okay, whether it is supervised, unsupervised, right, neural networks, all these are present inside the sklearn library. So if you want to learn machine learning, if you want to master machine learning, then Pandas and sklearn and Matplotlib are a must. Okay, so sklearn library, right, has to be dealt in complete if machine learning is to be done. Okay, all the built-in functions are available, right? Classifiers, all the classifiers, regressors, regression, right, clustering, everything is available in sklearn, right? So these are the basic libraries that we are using, the modules that we are using in the this particular case study. Yeah, so next this is our structure. Okay, so first we will have an admin. Okay, so admin will let's say upload some news. Okay, and this news will be pre-processed, right? And then we'll run the fake news detection algorithm and see the score. Okay, based on the score we will decide whether the news is fake or not. Okay, so this is the simple flow chart for the operation of our project. Okay, yeah. So these are the different steps. Again, same thing. Okay, you calculate, you upload the news, you pre-process, you run the fake news detector, and then you calculate the detection results, and then you give the score. Okay, whether what is the score of the fake right news. So this is how we have built a graphical user interface using Django. A web application using Django has been built. So I'll show you the web application, okay, later. Yeah. So this is the introduction to the project that we are going to, or the case study that we are going to discuss. Okay. Yeah. So before we go further into the working or the execution part, so let us understand what is how do you perform natural language processing, natural language processing, and how do you what is mean by what is that we call, yeah, what is that we call it as RNN, okay, and what is LSTM, what is natural language processing. So we'll discuss all these things. Okay, so let me explain one by one. Okay, just give me 1 second. Yes, okay. So first of all, right, this case study is basically related to deep learning. Okay, I think I don't need to tell you what is deep learning. I think many of us know what is deep learning, but yeah. So deep learning is a sub branch of machine learning, okay, which is again a sub branch of artificial intelligence, right? So in machine learning, right, okay, you create a model, right, and this model, right, so you have a model, right, okay, for which you give the input, right, you give and you tell what is the output of this for the input, and from this the computer, right, understands the data and builds a program which we call it as a model, right, and this model will do the prediction, right, for the new data. This is what we call it as the machine learning, which is different to that of the conventional programming, right? In conventional programming, you build your program, okay, you give input to it and it will produce the output, right? So here, okay, we will give the input, we will give the output, right, and based on this input and output, we create a model, we create a program that will predict, okay, or that will make the predictions for any new data we are giving. Okay, so this is what we call it as basically the machine learning is all about. Okay, right, but yeah, here in machine learning, right, the thing is we ourselves has to give what we call it as the features. Features means, right, some parameter calculated on the raw data. Okay, features are certain parameters that are calculated on the raw data, right, and these parameters distinguish, right, or identify the different categories or classification or classes that are present in the data. Okay, so they differentiate, right, or they are used to differentiate, or they'll help in differentiating between different classes. Okay, so that's what the parameters or the features all about. Okay, so in machine learning we have to give these parameters by ourselves, whereas, right, if you take the deep learning means, right, so the model that you are creating is deeper in the sense that is there are a lot of layers inbuilt, right, inbuilt in the model, and this model can learn, right, up to a lot of extent, that is it can learn deep into the data. Okay, that means it itself can understand the patterns present in the data without explicitly giving any parameters. Okay, so without explicitly requirement of any parameters, the model itself can extract the data that is present, or extract the patterns that is present inside the data on itself. Okay, so that's the deep learning is all about, right? So deep learning model, you don't need to give any features, right? The the model itself can right understand the patterns that is present, or can understand the information that is present inside the data. Okay, so it uses different right, or a set of right layers, a set of layers, okay, or a collection of layers, okay, to extract the information, right? This is the simple difference between the, okay, this is just one difference. There are so many other differences, but basically the primary difference is the model itself learns in the deep learning, whereas machine learning, you have to take out the parameters, and those parameters can be right used to train the model. Okay, so that's the primary difference. Okay, right. So deep learning actually right works on the concept of artificial neural networks. I think this also many of us know neural networks. Okay, you can simply say, yeah. So what is a neural network? Okay, so it basically right, deep learning is done with the help of the neural networks. Okay, so what is a neural network? Okay, so a neural network is basically so a neural network is basically a combination or an interconnection of a network. Network is nothing but an interconnection, right? So of what? The interconnection of neurons. Okay, so here your neural network is basically an interconnection of neurons. So several neurons are interconnected to form right to form a structure, right, which will be able to perform the right information processing. Okay, so why it is called artificial? Because right, you are right, already there is one such thing existing right biologically, which is our human brain. Okay, so you are creating a network which mimics the same nature as that of a human brain. So that's the reason why it's called a artificial neural network. Okay, right. So a human brain right basically has two important capacities, as we know. Okay, one is it can store the information, right, and it can process the information, right? So it has the capacity to store, memorize something, right? And also it has the capacity to interpret, right? So what does this mean? What does this mean? What is the consequence of this? Okay, so what is that we are going to get from this? So both the right, the brain has the capacity to store data, and also to get the get the interpretation of the data. Okay, right. How is it possible? Because of the a simple element called as neuron. Okay, so I think all of us know what is a neuron, right? Neuron is the smallest biological right element that is present. So we have right a neuron like this. This is how it looks like. Okay, so you can draw it any way you want. You can have simple neuron like this. So there are certain right inputs connected to the neuron, which are called as the dendrites. Okay, so dendrites are the inputs that are connected to the neuron, and then you have the cell, which is the which is where certain operation is performed on the thing, and the output is given through axiom. Okay, so axioms or axions are the right outputs. Okay, so every neuron will take the inputs from the other neurons, process it, okay, and pass on this information to the next neuron. In this way, when all these neurons are connected together, you create right a network. So in the same way, artificially also, right, the information processing systems, okay, or the artificial intelligence systems were built based on the concept of this. Okay, so we have right something called as right a node, okay, or simplest perceptron. You sometimes call it as perceptron as well. So a node or a perceptron, it will take right inputs, okay, from the right previous layers, okay, apply some operation, okay, which can be bias and activation function, okay, bias and activation function, and then you produce some output. Okay, so it will take certain inputs, okay, right, multiply them with weights, some weights, whatever the weights may be, and then okay, then you have the activation function, and you have the bias adding to this data, and then you produce an output. Okay, so the output can be right firing of the next neuron or not firing of the next neuron, which again depends upon the activation function we take. Okay, so this is the simplest model of a basic neuron or a node looks like. Okay, so your artificial neural network will have right hundreds of such neurons, okay, depending upon the size and number of layers, everything we decide the things. Okay, so let us not go into details of this. Okay, yeah, so yeah, this is what basically a neuron looks like, and the thing is, okay, now these neural networks, okay, essentially can be of two types. One is a feed forward neural network, okay, so right, feed forward neural network, and second is recurrent neural networks. Okay, so a feed forward neural network and a recurrent network. There are several other types also, okay, but the basic classification, the very basic classification is like this. So you have feed forward, you have recurrent. Okay, so what is a feed forward neural network? A feed forward neural network is one in which, right, so the data flows, okay, the data, right, the data is flowing in only one direction during its deployment. Okay, during its training phase, right, during its deployment, the data flows only in one direction. Such a network is called as feed forward neural network. Okay, so a feed forward neural network is one in which the data is flowing, right, in only one direction, that is in only in forward direction at the deployment stage, not at the training stage. At the training stage, right, of course the data will go back, because you need, right, you have called as back propagation. We have, right, back propagation algorithm. So we need to update the weights, we need to update the biases, activation functions, all these things are done, right? So therefore, okay, back propagation is there, but this back propagation is happening only during the training phase. Okay, so once the model is trained, the information flow happens only from input to the output. It will not flow back. Okay, so this type of neural networks are called as the feed forward neural networks. Okay, so I think all of us know this, right, things. Okay, so we call these as the feed forward neural networks. Okay, so feed forward neural networks examples, you can have a multi-layer perceptron, MLP network, right, MLP, right, and ANN, or right, even the CNN, right, CNN, which is the convolutional neural networks, right, convolutional neural network is a feed forward neural network. Okay, so CNN is a very widely used neural network for image, right, computer vision and image processing, right? So okay, so many industries, right, work on CNN. So mastering CNN architecture in itself, right, is a very complex task. Okay, and one of the most essential qualities required for an ML or a deep learning engineer. Okay, so there are so many applications, right, that has right, that we can do with CNN. Okay, so these networks, yeah, basically all these networks are the feed forward networks. Okay, so information flow in them will
ಗಾಳಿ ಬರ್ತದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಾ ಮಾಡಕತ್ತೀಯ ನೀನ ತೀರಾ ಅತಿ ಐತ್ ನಿಂದ
sorry, I'm getting some disturbance. Okay, okay, I think that's sorted out. Okay, right, so this is about the CNN, right? Okay, but the limitation of the feed forward networks is, okay, so they cannot handle sequential data, right? So there is nothing right, of the information or the feedback or the memory that is present in the feed forward networks. Okay, so the feed forward networks cannot, right, process sequential data. Okay, so whenever there is a data which is, right, sequential in nature, that means you have a combination of inputs, right, your combination of inputs giving rise to some particular case, those kind of data processing cannot be done, right, using the CNN. Okay, or the feed forward networks. Okay, similarly, right, it will consider only the current input for the production of the output. So only current input or current data will be taken. Okay, so that is, right, there is no memorization of the previous inputs. Okay, so these are the right, drawbacks of the feed forward neural networks. Of course, they have their own advantages, okay, but right, the limitations of the feed forward networks can be like this. They cannot process the sequential data, right? The output is produced only based on the current input, and they cannot memorize the previous inputs, okay? So that is the reason why the other kind of neural networks came into the picture, which are the RNNs, okay? RNN is basically recurrent neural network. So this is the network that we have used in our case, okay? But we are not using RNN is a very vaster type. Out of that, we are using LSTM. So let's let's get to it one by one, okay? Yeah, so first of all, what is an RNN? Okay, RNN is like a feed, it's like a feed forward neural network with some memory, okay? So I think in digital, right, we might have learned about something called as combinational circuits and sequential circuits, okay? So feed forward neural networks are basically like combinational neural networks. They will take, right, the present input and produce the present output. That's it, okay? Whereas RNNs are like sequential networks, okay? So these networks, right, okay, consider not only the present input, but also the previous outputs or the previous inputs also into picture, and then produce the output, okay? So that is, they have the capacity to memorize, okay? Memorize the information, input patterns, or memorize the information, right? So that is the thing or the important feature of an RNN is, okay? So for example, you can draw a single node of an RNN like this. So if I have, let's say, this is my node, okay? So a hidden layer. So I have an input layer, let's say X, right? I have a hidden layer and I have an output layer Y. So input layer will give the information, okay, let's say like this, and there will be some bias added to it, okay? The remaining algorithm learning and everything is same, okay? So except for that, now you have, right, now you have, okay, what we call as a memory, okay? So the memorization, so there will be a memorization, right, because stored inside the, right, each of the hidden layer, okay? So you have, right, some amount of information being stored in the hidden layers, okay? So right, it's the previous state of the hidden layer will be stored here, right, and used it for the information processing of the next inputs, okay? So this is how it actually looks like, okay? So if you have, for example, multiple hidden layers, okay, in the same time, right? So okay, in the same way, right, you have some kind of feedback, okay, or you have some kind of information flowing back towards the layer, right, when an output is produced, okay? Along with the output, some information regarding it will be, right, will be stored back, okay? So this is what right, a basic RNN will look like. If you have, for example, multiple hidden layers, let's say I have 3 nodes in a particular hidden layer, then the information flow, we can draw it like this. We can show it like this. So let's say, okay, I have 3 samples of information. One is coming at x of t minus 1, other comes at x of t, right, and other comes at right, x of t plus 1, okay? So what is that happens is, so for this, right, okay, you take the data from the previous node, okay, so that is h of t minus 2, you could say, and produce right, h of t minus 1 to the next node, okay? So this will be the output node, okay, y of t, right, y of t minus 1. Here you have, right, the data to y of t plus 1, okay, or sorry, y of t, and this will be y of t plus 1, okay? So the information, the feedback, right, is flowing from this node to this node and from this node to this node, okay? So this is how, right, it works. So you can say this is h of t plus 1, okay, and this is h of t, right? Yeah. So this okay, this is how you can work, right? And h of t can be written as Okay, the hidden function here can be written as the right sum function into h of t minus 1 into x of t. Okay, so this is the expression for this, right? Yeah. So this is how an RNN looks like. The structure of an RNN nodes looks like. Okay. So then there are so many varieties of RNNs. Okay. So you can have one-to-one network. One-to-one means it will take one input, single input, right? And it will produce a single output. Okay. So one input word will produce and one output word. Okay. So that's called as one-to-one, right? One-to-one RNN, right? All these are theory, right? One-to-one RNN. And then there is one-to-many. Okay. One-to-many. So that means one input, right, will be taken. For each one input, you will produce a multiple, right, output predictions. Okay. So this is right. Yeah, just a second. Okay. Yeah, I'll share. No issues. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So this is one-to-many. Okay. Then there is many-to-one. Okay. We have many-to-one, right, which will take several inputs, right, and produces one output. Okay. And then you have, right, many-to-many. Okay, which will take many input words and will produce many output operations. Okay. So all these are right the examples of right or the different types of RNNs. Okay. So one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many. Okay. Yeah. Right. So actually these RNNs are there, but they didn't, right, were practically usable, right, till certain point. Okay. Because there were two main issues in the RNN architecture. Okay. So RNNs were present, right, for a long time. They were existing or they have existed for a long time, but could not be used, right, until recently. Okay. So the reason for that is okay, as I said, there are two main issues in RNN. Okay. So one issue that we have is, right, the vanishing gradient problem, vanishing gradient, right, and the other is the exploding gradient. Okay. So these are the two problems. Okay. Actually they are like one opposite to the other. Okay. So these two problems have created, okay, have limited the usage of RNNs, right, over the years. Okay. So I'll take right, I'll like tell you what is vanishing gradient. Okay. The other one will be very easily understood. You can understand from it. Okay. So it's like, what is gradient here? Okay. Gradient is the slope. Okay. Gradient is the slope of your training. Okay. Slope of your training algorithm. Okay. So how you're training your RNN, right? The rate at which, okay, this RNN is trained is called as the gradient. Okay. Gradient represents the slope or the rate at which, right, the network is trained. Okay. Or the network is modified during the training operation. Okay. That's what we call it as the gradient. Okay. So if I take the vanishing gradient is coming into picture, right, when the that is when the slope or when the learning rate is very right, either very small or very large. Okay. Too small or too large. Okay. So it cannot be, right, if it is too large or if it is too small, then you will get, right, then you will get the problems. Okay. So if it is too small, right, then we call that as vanishing gradient. Okay. If the gradient or if the slope is too small, right, then we say that it is a vanishing gradient problem. Okay. And if the slope is very large, then we call it as exploding gradient problem. Okay. So right, gradient here represents the rate at which, right, your neural network will, or your RNN will be trained. Okay. Your RNN gets trained. So right, if the training rate is very small, then you say that it is a vanishing gradient problem. Okay, that means this okay, you can show it graphically like this. So I have y here, I have x here. So x is your input, y is your output. So the slope is very right small. Okay, so let's say it's not like this, it's like this. So delta x and delta y, right, change in y and change in x are right very small. Okay, so change in y is very small. So this kind of thing we call as the vanishing gradient. Okay, right, and this, because of this vanishing gradient, right, the prediction accuracy will be very poor. Okay, so your algorithm is not learning, or your memory, right, the number of items it is memorizing is very poor. Okay, so this is vanishing gradient. Whereas, right, if I have the other way, okay, so if I have, right, like this, okay, so if the learning is very fast, okay, something like this, so the change in y is large when compared to change in x, then such a type of gradient is called as exploding gradient. Okay, so this exploding gradient. Okay, so because of this, right, what is happening, either if it is vanishing gradient or right, exploding gradient, what are the issues? The issues are, one is, okay, if it is either vanishing gradient or the exploding gradient, the training time it takes is very large. Okay, so you require long training times sometimes. Okay, there was a Google right, an application, okay, which they tried to train, okay, and it took almost 3 years, right, and the system got crashed, right. So the training time, estimated time it showed was almost 3 years. Okay, so that's how, right, a problem it can create, right, whenever right, you have either a vanishing gradient or a exploding gradient. Okay, and second, as I said, the accuracy of prediction will be very poor if it is either of the case. Okay, so the biggest issue in the RNN deployment or in the RNN use is the handling of this gradient. Okay, so you need, right, an algorithm which can, right, which can make sure that the learning is neither too small nor too large. Okay, neither the gradient is too small nor the gradient is too large. Okay, so that has been the backstone for stopping the RNN to be used right, in most of the cases. Okay, so then right, then we had, right, a solution to it. So there were so many solutions, but the most right accepted solution is the LSTM. Okay, so LSTM actually considers diminishing gradient. It takes diminishing gradient variant. It is a vanishing gradient type. Okay, but it has a method, right, that uses or that rectifies this particular gradient problem. Okay, so LSTM, I think yes. Okay, so LSTM, which stands for long-term short-term memory. Okay, long-term short-term memory network. Okay, LSTM. So there are so many ways that these terms are defined. Sometimes some say that okay, it is an algorithm in which some are learned or some are memorized for long-term and some are memorized for short-term. Okay, some say that it's a network having two types of memories. All these things. Okay, but whichever the way you define it, it is basically an RNN. Okay, it has right, a special kind of RNN. Okay, it has a capability of learning long-term dependencies in the text or in the data. Okay, so LSTM is a special case or a special kind of RNN. Okay, so we have used this LSTM for the NLP. Okay, so we have used LSTM for NLP, right, in our case study. So it's a special kind of RNN. Okay, it's a special kind of RNN, and this RNN has the capacity to remember or to consider long-term dependencies in the data. Okay, so remembering information for long periods of time is their default behavior. Okay, so that's what the default behavior for RNN is. Okay, so what does this RNN look like? Okay, so just a simple overview of what it looks like. Okay, not going into the detail. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's not go in detail. Okay, but at least let's see how it does. Okay, so for it has okay, this LSTM algorithm works on 3 important steps. Okay, 3 important steps to be performed with 3 different modules. Okay, what are those 3 important steps? The first step it does is, so it okay, whenever you give some information to it, okay, let's say a group of words are given to it. Okay, so from that, the first operation it performs is, so it will perform, or it will remove, okay, irrelevant parts of the previous state. Okay, so first thing that it does is, so presently it is, let's say okay, there are 4 to 5 words, okay, which it processing. Let's say presently it is processing one particular word. Okay, now out of this previous words, okay, so what are the words that are not to be remembered at that particular point? Okay, so at every point we perform this. Okay, at every point, right, we'll check the previous state that is there with us. Okay, and right, the first step that we have to do is, we want to remove, or we want to forget the irrelevant part of the previous state. Okay, so how do you do this? This is done with the help of a sigmoid function. Okay, so sigmoid function, so it will tell us how much part of the past it has to remember. Okay, so which information to be omitted and which information is to be present. Okay, so this is the first step, right? Then the second step, okay, that we have is to selectively update. Okay, selectively update the cell state values. Okay, that is the present state values. Okay, so right, and okay, so, yeah, this is what, okay, selectively update the cell state values. That means what? So here in the step 2, you decide how much, okay, of this information of this cell, okay, of this word or of this sentence, you could say. Okay, so you have given, let's say, a paragraph, there are 10 sentences. Okay, let's say you are processing the 8th sentence. Okay, so in first thing what you do, in the past 7 sentences, what is the unrequired data or irrelevant data? Okay, that is done, right? That is will be stored. Okay, then you will next, what you do, right, in the 8th cell, that is in the present cell, what is the information that has to be taken care? Okay, so right, in this right, okay, in this block, what is the information you need to store? Okay, and what is not required? So that is verified in the step 2. Okay, then in the step 3, right, in the last step, okay, so you pass on what is required to the next state. Okay, so that's what I said, right? So okay, third step is, so decide what part of data has to be given to the next stage. Okay, so decide, right, what part of the current data, current cell state makes it to the next, right, thing. Okay, so you process the present state here, and then out of that you decide which part of the current state cell value, current state or current sentence, we have to pass it to the next sentence. Okay, so this is what you do. Okay, so this is the basic 3 operations that are performed in the LSTM. Okay, so any LSTM algorithm works on this concept. Okay, so first, right, okay, the first it will take, okay, what is the irrelevant data that is present in the previous state, and it removes it, and only relevant data will be stored. And then next, process your present cell or present sentence, and then decide what is the part of the sentence you want to write, or what is the part of the cell site you have to pass it to the next case. Okay, so this is the thing, right? So therefore, if you look at the structure of one basic cell, okay, one basic RNN cell or LSTM cell, it will be like this. Okay, so yeah, this is the last thing that I would like to tell, and then I'll go to the execution. Okay, so yeah, so one cell, one basic LSTM cell will look like this. Okay, so yeah. This is tan h function. So basically here we are using two activation functions. Sigma is representing sigmoid function. Okay, I think many of us know sigmoid function. Okay, and right. Okay, x represents multiplication blocks. Okay, and other function that I'm using, other activation function I'm using is the tan h function. Okay, so this is right. Yeah. Right, so this is the block. Okay, so you remove this. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so this is the structure of right a basic LSTM, right, block is. Okay, so one node of LSTM will have these three parts. Okay, so as I said, there are three steps. Okay, so first step is this step one, which will decide which part of, there is a sigmoid activation function. Okay, so sigmoid activation function, I think many of us know. So it will look like this. Okay, yeah, sigmoid activation function. Okay, so using the sigmoid activation function, we will write. So this is the data that is coming from the previous right cell. So previous node. Okay, so out of this previous node, what is the amount of information you want to keep? That is decided by this activation function. Okay, so this is the input x of t, and this is h of t minus 1. Okay, then next step you have is this. So up to this point is the next step. Okay, the second step. So in the second step, right, okay, first the sigmoid function decides the right which values to let. Okay, and then the tan h function, okay, the tan h function gives the weightage. Okay, so as I said, okay, in the second step you have to process the present cell site. So sigmoid function will decide, okay, in the present sentence which are important, what is the thing that is there. Okay, and then it assigns the weights. Okay, using tan h function we decides the weights to the all the values. Okay, and then in the third step, okay, again we have a sigmoid function and a tan h function. So again this sigmoid function will decide, okay, which part of the sentence have to be passed on to the next. Okay, and tan h function gives the weights to them. Okay, so this is what, right, a basic node of a LSTM look like. Okay, so using this right node, we can process the information and we can, right, do the things. Okay, so any data can be extracted. Okay, and we can perform any operations right which requires, okay, this kind of information processing. Okay, so this is the LSTM, and this, and our model we have built it based on the LSTM thing. Okay, so what are the common examples you have, right? Time series prediction, like stock analysis, stock prediction, right? Okay, then image capturing, natural language processing, text mining, right, sentiment analysis. Okay, all our recommender systems, right? Okay, recommender systems also you nowadays are using this. Okay, then the machine translation like Google Translation. Okay, all these right text to voice, Google Assistant. Okay, all these are based on this LSTM models itself. Okay, so this is what we have used. Okay, and this is the algorithm that we are using in our particular case study. Okay, so that is about the theory part. Okay, so what is a RNN, what are the problems or the issues with the RNN, what is CNN, okay, and what is an LSTM, right? I have not told you what is a CNN, what is LSTM, I have explained. Okay, yeah, so let's go into the next part. So let us see the coding. Okay. Okay, yeah, so let us see the coding that we have. Okay, so I have shared the code with all of you in the chat box. You can take it, right? Otherwise sometime later I will just post it in the WhatsApp group as well. Okay, yeah, any queries till now? Okay, I know in the Sunday afternoon it might be a little boring to discuss the theory. Okay, but to understand this case study, you require that algorithm. Okay. Yeah. Any queries till now? Okay. Yes. No, sir. Okay. Thank you. Right. Let's go ahead and let's simulate it. Okay. So here we have These are the different Excel sheets wherein we have the data. Okay, so I'll just open the data set. Okay, so and show you what information we have. Yeah, so this is the thing. So there are a lot of articles, right? These are all the news articles that are present. Okay, so these news articles, we need to categorize them whether these news articles are real or fake. Okay, so that's what our job is. Okay, so we also have the data set here. We can, yeah, no. Okay, so this is the training data set. Okay, so data set also has been given. Okay, so we can see this is the data set. So this data set is the Cox data set. Okay, you can get it from the Google also, or you can type in fake news detection data set, you will get it. Okay, there are so many such data sets available. Okay, so I have taken this. Okay, right, next so the main code or the main algorithm, right, we have built I have built a Django, right? Using a Django, I have applied a application for this. Okay, so let me run that. Okay, so I'll go here, right, and open this. So command prompt. Yeah, so my command prompt is open, right? So in the present directory. Okay, I think yeah, you are familiar now with these things. Okay, right. Okay, so right, it's a coding, everything is been done, right? We have done all the coding for this. Okay, so just let me show you what. There are so many files that are written. The settings file, the views file, right, and the models file. As I told you, most of the times we are we will be writing the data with respect to models. Okay, so yeah, oh, sorry, let me open this in IDE. Yes. Yeah. Where is it? View some. Yeah. So this is the views file. Okay, that we have, right? So we have written many functions. Okay, so we have get, post, right? I think yesterday you have been told with the framework, okay, of the methods, okay, and all these functions, right? Yeah, so this is the views file. Okay, and these are the admin file. Okay, so just open this. I'm just showing all the files that we have. Yeah, nothing here, right? So yeah. Okay, and the main file is the manage.py. Yeah, just a second. manage.py. Okay, or we can open this with ID. Yeah, so this is the right. Okay, yeah, and the coding, right? The code will be available here. You can go to this particular file, right? One second, I'll show it in the requirements. I think it is there in the requirements. Yeah. So yeah, this is the right coding that is required. So you need to install these libraries, NumPy, okay, pandas. We have given the versions, right? This is the way of specifying the version of a particular thing. Okay, so it is just up to us whether we want to give the required for version, or you can directly go with the present version. Okay, so we are right. We require NumPy, we require pandas, we require matplotlib, we require keras. So keras is the tool, right? Okay, that is required for neural networks. It works on TensorFlow, right? And H5Py is also another package. OpenCV is for right processing the images and data. Okay, scikit, as I said, scikit-learn is useful for the things. Okay, so we need to install the natural language toolkit in NLTK, right? And then we have all this right things. Okay, so these are the things, right? Okay, so let me run and show you the model. Okay, so yeah, just okay, any queries in this particular thing, right? I think I have shared you the right code. You can do it simultaneously along with me, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so I've shared you the code. I shared you the requirement of what files you need in particular thing. Okay, so you can just write for those who are if you just run it directly. Okay, so you might get some errors regarding the NumPy and NLTK. So those can be right solved. Okay, so using the things. Okay, so you require a couple of packages. Okay, right. So yeah, here I have all the packages with me. So I'll just type Python. Okay, manage dot manage.py and then run server. Let me just show you the execution, and then after that I'll tell you what errors or what particular things can happen. Okay, so just go to this particular page. I think by now you might have been very familiar with Django, right? Okay, so just go to the browser, paste it. Yeah, so when you hit a click, okay, so it's giving error, but don't worry, I think it's okay. We have to load its so yeah, let's .html. Yeah, okay, so this is how our interface looks like. So we have built an interface look like this. Okay, so this is the right, as I told you in the morning. Okay, we can build a GUI nicely like this using the Tkinter library. So this GUI is built using Tkinter. Okay, so right, we can have all the tabs and everything. Okay, right now we are in the home page. Okay, so for running this, we require a user. So just click on the user. So you will get the user login screen, right? Okay, so we have to run it as an admin. So I'm typing. So the password and the username that we have given is admin. Okay, so admin, and just right, take it. Okay, so yeah. So this is the right page for admin. Okay, right now we got into the admin login. Okay, so here we are giving the three options, right? We want to first write a news article. Okay, any new article, if it comes, we can give it, right? So we can upload it. So just click on this. So upload a new news document, right? So choose a file. So all these are different files. Okay, so each of them consists of many articles, okay, which can be which are, some of them are real, some of them are fake. So we have taken the database and we have divided them. I've divided them into many cases. Okay, so I'll take this particular file, okay, and say upload. Okay, so all this we have built. Okay, I have built this using the same concepts that we discussed in the last few days. Okay, so yes, so your news document has been loaded. Okay, right now we are ready with the data set. Okay, just go and run the fake news detector algorithm. Okay, yes, so when I run this, so I have these things. Okay, so this is the text in the news, right? And okay, so this is how we are getting the fake rank score. Okay, so fake rank score is basically a score calculated on the number of as I said, number of three aspects. Okay, one, number of the organizations or the human beings, okay, with respect to the total length of the things. Okay, second, number of quotations used in the particular particular news article, and third, number of verbs that are used in the news article. Based on these, we are categorizing them into real or fake. Okay, so in this particular case, I have taken all these examples, right? So as I said, it's each of them is each of the Excel file that I have shown is having many articles in them. Okay, and we are performing the algorithm and we are calculating the score. Okay, so from this score, it will decide whether it is fake news or real news. Okay, if the score is greater than 1, you say it is real news. If the score is less than 1, it is the fake news. Okay, so this is the application that we developed. Okay, so this is how we can execute. So as I said, okay, I'll show you what are the possible errors that you can get when you're running this thing. So when you, before you run this particular code, okay, so you have to run right from the command prompt of this fake news. Okay, go into the fake news, right? So here type cmd, okay, you enter the command prompt, right? Obviously, okay, so yeah, just a second, I'll close this and close this particular application, right? Okay, yeah, so here we have to write we can write whatever the program that we want. Okay, so first thing is whether a license of Python is existing or not. So check for that. Okay, so I have Python 3.7.0, so this is there, so it is showing me. Okay, so check for that. Okay, then next, right, again check for Django, right? So whether Django is there or not. Okay, so come out of this, quit. I use the quit function to come out of this. Okay, right, come back to the fake news, right, to the present directory. Okay, now again check for Django. So Django, okay, Django -admin. Okay, you can check with the version anyway. Okay, so -version. Django admin is not registered. Okay, but I think Django has been there. Okay, it's there. It's showing me somewhere. Sometimes it is wrong. Okay, but I have installed right. I have the Django with me. I think right. I have shown you how to check the version on the first day itself. So we can check with the version. So check whether the Django is installed or not. Okay. Then the next thing is, so there this requires a particular command called as text blob. Okay. So text blob is right a function or a method that is required. Okay, in order to perform the operations. That is in order to read the text data. Okay, in order to read the text data from the Excel sheets. Okay, so we need to have that here. Okay, so we can do that as pip. Okay, so pip, right, install. Okay, right, text blobs. So text blob. Okay, and --user. So why this --user? which means that this I'm installing for the present user only. Okay, so that's what it's basically is. So you will install the the text blobs. Okay, so this also have to be done, right? So if you want to run the code, these steps are to be required. Okay, first step is, as I said, check for the Python. Okay, Python version should be there. Then install the Django. Okay, so latest version of Django or 2.7 version of Django has to be installed. Then we require one particular method called as text blob. This method is required in order to process the text information from the Excel sheets. Okay, so that is what done with this command. Okay, so it is there in the requirements. You don't need to worry about them. The commands are there in the commands are there in the requirement. Okay, so text blob. Okay, pip install text blob -- user. Okay, so once it is done, then you can run. So run as we have done before. So Python. Okay, you can run the thing. Okay, but it might give you error. So what you need to do, again, as I said, go to Python. Okay, so check with the Python. Then you need to install the natural language toolkit, NLTK toolkit. Okay, so for NLTK toolkit, okay, so okay, so NL2K toolkit. So as I said, okay, we have to install NLTK. So for that, okay, use this commands in the requirements. Okay, so you have here to open here. Yeah, so Python, after Python, import NLTK. So you just write import NLTK, enter. Okay, then you go for NLTK dot download, NLTK download. Sorry. Yeah, you can this particular command as it is, you can type it here. So NLTK download. Okay, now you will get connected to the natural language toolkit. So you have to download this natural language toolkit, and then run the thing. Okay, so from there onwards, next everything is same. Okay, so you can directly run the server and get the result. Okay, so yeah, this is the dialog box for opening the natural language toolkit NLTK downloader. So click on download. Okay, if you click on download, it will start processing. So because I have already downloaded, it will be downloading faster for me, Okay, for you it will take a little bit of time. Okay, yeah, so once it is done, then once the toolkit is downloaded, okay, so you can run your program by just typing in the thing. Okay, so that's it. Okay, that's it for this example, you case study. You can now just go down and practice this particular code. Okay, if you have anything query, you can always come back to me. Okay, so this is the example that I wanted to show you today. Okay, so if you have any issue in running the code or with any other concept, you can always come back to me. Okay, so my number is 9177 000 358. Okay, this is my contact number, or you can mail me at zahid.mtech@gmail.com. Okay, so yeah, this is my contact details. So if you have any issue in loading, or if you have any issue in the application, in the running of application, you can always come back to me. Okay, so this is it from my side. Okay, for this session, because the time is not there, so I'm not able to execute it. Okay, again, yeah. So once this NLTK is it is getting downloaded here. So once it is done, you can close this and you can run the server. Okay, so run server, and go ahead and run server, and you will execute the command. Okay, execute the system. Okay, so this is a simple example of how we can do or how we can connect, right, GUI, a project, okay, a GUI, an application, a complete application, right, from the front end to the back end using Django. Okay, so I hope over the 5 days, I think you have gained some information. So we try to cover 3 things basically. One is the Python basics, okay, so which are essential for performing or developing any application. Then the Django framework, okay, so how to create models, views, and templates in Django framework, and then how to create the GUI interfaces using Tkinter. So these are the 3 essential aspects required for developing web applications using Django framework. Okay, so I have given you the code for one particular application. So using this, you can build a complete system. Okay, so that is it from my side for this session. Okay, so thank you so much, right, for your patience listening over this 5 days. Okay, so thank you so much for all the cooperation. Okay, so thank you one and all. Right, I share or I hand it over to the organizers. So that's it from my side. Yeah, so one last word: if you want to master web application development using Django framework, so these 3 things are required. Okay, you require graphical user interface using Tkinter, you need to understand how to install and work with Django, and you need, of course, the basics of Python. Okay, right, thank you. Yeah, over to the organizers.
Thank you, Jahir sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, within 2 minutes, we will start validating, sir.
Okay, sir.
Just a few minutes.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Once security sir will come, we will start, sir.
Okay, sir. Sure, sure, sir.
Thank you. Dear participants, please wait 2 minutes. We will start a validation. Thank you. Good afternoon, one and all. I hope everyone enjoyed the 5-day FDP program on Python application development using Django framework. So now we are moving to validatory. So now I request Dr. Shivkumar, HOD CSC, will address the gathering. HOD sir, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Vijay. Am I audible?
Yeah, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. So, first of all, I thank the resource person to be available, and it was really wonderful session. I was there for some time. Every day I was joining. I could not be there for so long. But anyhow, as a number of participants, I can see, and I can extend my sincere thanks to this all the participants joined from all over India. It was really a wonderful session by the resource person, and on behalf of my personal and on behalf of the CMREC, I thank all the participants, our organizer, Mr. Mrutyunjaya and Mr. Vijay Babu, and the resource person who was really available, and he was making the session understandable for all the participants. It was really a very hands-on session for all of the people in their chat box, and it was really very helpful for all the people who are into the machine learning, and they are thinking Python can be one of the helpful tools for them. So, I thank each one present over here. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Dr. P. Madhavi, HOD IT Department. Madam, please address the gathering.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, all the participants, resource persons, our FDP coordinators. So all the sessions were very nice. All the sessions were very nicely covered, and really all these 5-day FDP, both the sessions means on every day, both the sessions, a lot of practical work also. It was nicely explained. And so in this regard, I want to thank all the resource person and today's resource person also, Mr. Zahid sir. And once again, I thank you all the participants for your participation, for continuously participating in our 5-day FDP and sparing your time. Once again, I thank all the participants and our FDP coordinators, Mr. Mrutyunjaya, Mr. Vijay Babu, Mrs. Jansi Lakshmi. So once again, thank you everyone. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yes, anyone in the audience, participants, please give feedback orally. You can raise your hand. I will unmute you. Yes, please. Anyone? Yes, sir.
Hello,
Anybody
sir.
want to give?
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, audible, sir. Please.
Yes, sir. Very good evening, sir. Really very wonderful session, sir. And also, sir, am I audible? Hello, sir.
Sir, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Really, all the sessions are very, very nice and very initiative to learn new technology like Django. Yes. This is very new. Sir? Sir, am I proceed, sir?
Yeah, you go ahead, sir, please.
Okay, thank you. So this is very new technology for me. I learned a lot of things, but Stephen, just even though I have some more doubts on some other places, I kindly request you to give all the YouTube materials in order wise. We can use it whenever we need. the YouTube links, sir. All the, it's a day-wise order. If possible, can you put a day-wise order in YouTube channel itself?
Yeah, sir, we will provide the YouTube links for all 5 days, sir. You can
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what I am asking means, suppose just if you joining within a row means, simply we can put it to next. We will see all this continually.
Okay, no issue, sir. We will forward in your WhatsApp group, sir. You can access all the links.
Yeah.
5 days.
Okay.
If you have any doubts, you can contact resource person also.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, anyone is there, sir? Yes, anyone is there, sir, to give oral feedback? Okay, if not, I will move to next session. Okay, dear participants, I will post a feedback link and attendance link in chat box. Please fill it. It will be open up to 4 o'clock. Okay. And myself, K. Vijay Babu. Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
Zahir, sir. Sir, I would like to thank all the organizers and the HOD, Madam Dr. P. Madhavi, Madam of IT, and Shivkumar, sir, Dr. Shivkumar, sir, Head of CSE, for giving us this opportunity. So thank you so much, sir, for the organizers also from my side.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So myself, K. Vijay Babu, Assistant Professor, CSE Department. First of all, I would like to thank HODs, Dr. Shivkumar, HOD CSE, and Dr. P. Madhavi, Madam, HOD IT. My sincere thanks to them for organizing this FDP on Python application development using Django framework. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And my sincere thanks to resource persons, Jahir sir and Vasu sir. They conducted very nicely practical sessions and theory sessions both. I thank you very much, sir.
Our pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So participants, I will post attendance link in chat box. Please fill it. Your certificates will be distributed on Monday. Okay. So those who are attended 4 days continuously, they will get certificate. Please don't put any personal messages. Those who attended continuously 4 days, they will get certificates on Monday. We will post the attendance also in the WhatsApp group. You can check.
Is there any feedback, sir? Now?
Sir? Sir,
is there any feedback now?
Yeah. Now it is there, sir. I am posting.
Yeah, okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, link is posted in a chat box. Please, all of you fill by 4 o'clock. Sir, those who attended 4 days continuously, you will get compulsory certificate, sir. There is no doubt. If you have anyone missed, we will see on Monday, sir. Okay, I will post the complete list in WhatsApp group. So if your name is not there, you communicate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm leaving, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Jahir, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Those who filled attendance, you may leave, sir. Thank you.